This is 5 Minute Feng Shui podcast episode 150. Low energy, lift chi with sound. Welcome to the 5 Minute Feng Shui podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Hello, my Feng Shui friend. How are you this fine, fabulous Tuesday afternoon? I am coming to you live and returned from Hawaii. Oh my gosh, over 2 weeks in the beautiful Aloha state, and it has put me into an Aloha state of mind. This is something that, we need is time off, time away, and having that uninterrupted space of time and being able to really fully relax and enjoy myself with no major schedule. Oh my gosh, what a great thing. Plus, we had the most fabulous lanai, which is patio for you non-Hawaiian speaking folks. A beautiful lanai that overlooked the mountains to the west of Maui, the beautiful Pacific Ocean, the plumeria trees that ringed the area where we were staying. It just gives off the most beautiful perfume. And if you've ever smelled a plumeria blossom, you know it's unmistakable. It just has the most beautiful fragrance. So every day, cup of Kona coffee out on the lanai in the morning, and just putting my feet up, reading, going to the beach, snorkeling, diving into that magnificent Pacific Ocean water that's cool, but not cold. And the beach and sand is so soft. And just, seeing the array of fish is amazing to me. It really was a tonic to my spirit, because I want to share with you something about today's subject, which is low energy. Now, lots of folks are struggling with this right now. We've got this, I'm going to call it pandemic fatigue. Well, I know a few things about fatigue because I actually have low thyroid, otherwise called hypothyroidism. You've often heard me talk about, I've got this 20 pounds that that's just to get to my goal weight, 20 pounds. And it's really difficult to get past that last few pounds. And I'm already at a point where I don't eat a lot of carbs. In fact, very few. And it's not like I can change, something in my diet and drop 5 pounds, which I have done that before. Like I used to drink a big glass of orange juice every day until I realized, well, that's just a big glass of sugar. And your body knows that it's orange juice and that you get vitamin C from it, but it also knows it's a lot of sugar. So whether it's a Coke or it's orange juice, in some ways your body sees it the same way. Yes, of course you get vitamin C and all that kind of stuff. I know a little bit about weight loss and that kind of thing because I actually worked on a patient program, a communication program for the Ally. It was called Ally, the Ally drug at the time. It was, now it's Orlistat is the active. Anyhow, it was basically the fat blocker. You take this drug, and if you eat more than 30% fat in your diet, then you pass it, out of it. Anyhow, it wasn't quite the silver bullet for weight that the company had hoped it would be. But if you've ever been into your office, doctor's office, where you've seen the BMI charts, that was Orlistat. That was that drug. And Xenical, there it is. I knew I was going to get the over-the-counter medication is called Ally. And at the time when it first came out, this drug was called Xenical. And I was working on all the patient communications. Well, the FDA pretty much torpedoed that medication. It worked, though. It really was a good medication for helping people monitor the fat in their diet. But the two words that sunk it was anal leakage. And it put a lot of fear in people's minds that they were going to have this uncontrollable problem, and that really wasn't the case. And it was a good drug, but I learned a lot about weight loss and that kind of thing, and also things like how your metabolic rate is, what your body type is like, and so on. So I've learned a lot about weight, and I've managed to keep my weight in that 15 pound ish range. Would I like to lose some? Yes, I've been working on it. As long as I can remember my husband, I'm always nagging him. I'm like, stop it with the pastries every morning with coffee. That's his weakness. And ice cream every night. Anyhow, I have this condition, though, that what had happened was my doctor, I guess, wasn't looking at my blood results because I have my blood checked every 6 months to see where my thyroid levels were. Well, even though they were still in the quote unquote normal range, what had happened was over 2 years, they had dropped a full point. Well, this is a big enough drop that it felt like I dropped, literally. I came to a point about 2 months ago where I had a person hired, lined up, ready to go, and at the last minute, after I had, it meant that I had to get all of the information to her for all of my logins and passwords and everything. Did all that, and then she said, "No, I changed my mind." And it was all I needed. And it was all of a sudden the energy that I had been willing myself to keep up and maintain just fell like a house of cards. And I just went down into a deep cavernous pit of low energy. And in fact, had spent 3 days in bed after that, after I had to go and rechange all of my passwords and that kind of thing. And it was a very difficult time for me. And this has been something I've been struggling with in the past year. And I want to share it with you because I think a lot of us are struggling right now, where I'm hearing from a lot of folks that are struggling and have low energy and feel like they're just pushing that giant boulder that gets bigger every year up an ever increasingly slanted hill that's greased. And it wears on you, and it gets to you. And what happened for me was I just kept chalking it up to, I've got pandemic brain, or I'm just overwhelmed. I'm fatigued by all of this. Stay in, wear a mask, wash your hands, do this. Who got sick? Who died? Who's in the hospital now? What's happening here? Who's going to take the vaccine? Who's not going to take the vaccine? No matter what, that kind of thing. And it's like, a lot of trauma and drama around this pandemic. And then I've got this whole underlying condition that's going on. And unbeknownst to me, it's getting worse. And I trusted my doctor to follow those blood results, going against what I've always done, which is I always looked at my own blood results. And I know where they need to be, what my levels need to be in order to feel good. And I wasn't watching it either. So I fell asleep at the wheel too. But that's sleepiness is one of the side effects of hypothyroidism, as is depression, as is mental fog and a feeling like you don't have clarity. And so as depression, and so is just overwhelm and fatigue and burnout and emotional, just burnout, I guess, overwhelm. These are all things that they all look like the other, don't they? And I know when I first had my first thyroid issue, it happened during a summer, and it's 100 degrees out. And I remember telling the doctor, listen, but my family all has thyroid issues. And he said, well, all the symptoms that you're mentioning are symptoms of depression. I said, well, no. I said, does depression make you afraid to get out of the warm shower because it's going to be so that cold air when the shower stops is going to hit you? It racks your nerves. I said, no. And I said, do you wear a sweater walking, at noon in July down the street because you're cold? I said, that's not depression. And I said, why don't you? He said, I think we should give you an antidepressant. And I said, I think you should humor me and try it my way. Why not? I said, what if the levels that I'm at are completely wrong for me? Then if I respond to this treatment, and maybe it will show you that actually my levels need to be much, much higher. And that it's just like if I lost 30% of my leg, I would have a noticeable limp, right? He didn't like my argument because I said, well, what if I'm supposed to be 30% higher on my levels than that? I said, if I lost 30% of my leg, I'd have that noticeable limp, like I said. And, he didn't like that, but he humored me and he did give me thyroid medicine. And oh my gosh, the lights went on. Someone was home. I had energy. I wasn't cold and freezing and could think clearly, and my mind was working, and all that started creeping up again on me in the past year and a half. And I just kept chalking it up to, there's been 3 deaths in my husband's family. He's had 3 surgeries, major surgeries in the past year. I just get him into the hotel next to this hospital where he had his knee replaced. An hour into getting him all settled down and everything, the hotel fire alarm goes off. And so I thought, I'm going to have to save my husband from a burning building. He's just an hour out of knee replacement, total knee replacement surgery. And, all of it just, it builds up, doesn't it? It mounts up. And it made me feel very like I'm just losing my grip and losing my focus, my drive and determination. And then I saw my latest blood results and I actually looked at them. And I went, oh my gosh, I dropped a point and a half from where I normally was. And that made a big drop for me. And so the point of the story is that I was looking at what all I needed to cut out of my life. I need to, eat better, exercise more, and so on and so forth. And then I talked to my doctor and said, hey, did you look at these levels? I'm really low here. This is very low for me. Still within the normal range, I get quoted. Well, that one always frustrates me, but be that as it may, she heard me and I got a new prescription for a higher dosage, which I have not changed in 25 years. So I thought that the original dosage that I've been on for 25 years just stopped working. And I needed more. And that's what's happened. I got a higher dose and all the lights are starting to come back on. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling more energetic, more optimistic, more hopeful, less blue and kind of despondent with this malaise that I could not put my finger on and just kept blaming on COVID. So I share that with you because it's going around, people. It's going around. And it might be from COVID. It might be from the stress of living with this pandemic and wondering and not knowing what's going to happen in the coming days, weeks, months, years. And it's also fracturing our families. I know we have the, I'm going to get a COVID shot, and I've got the I'm not going to get a COVID shot, folks. We've got them in both camps. And that's hard. That's hard seeing those families fractured, and the holidays are coming up, and what are we going to do, right? This is all the things that everybody is weighing right now. And I recently received a wonderful email from Janet in the UK, and I hope that you are listening to this episode because she writes, "Hi, Katie, what are the areas for depression? Because I can't drive out my negative thoughts. Since COVID, I have felt lower and lower, and your advice always helps. Thanks, Janet." Listen, Jan, you just keep going and go see your doctor. And maybe you've got, maybe there's an underlying medical condition. Maybe it's not just you not pulling yourself up by your bootstraps or willing yourself. there is something, and it could be depression. It could actually be, but there are people out there, and there are resources out there, and I believe that feng shui works so much better when you work with your life in tandem with your feng shui. So making those changes in your life, like I did, I went to my doctor, I looked at my results, we addressed them, and I also worked around my house. I find that if I keep working on projects and I don't put off the things that I'm constantly looking at around my house, saying that needs to be fixed, I'll get to it. Oh, that needs to be fixed, I'll get to that. And then you don't get to that, and it starts to, and those little, scuffs on the wall, or maybe that one crack that's by the door keeps getting a little bit bigger, and you go, I'll get to it. And the more you say that, it's like you dig yourself into this ever increasingly larger, deeper hole where you see less and less light at the top of it. The good news is I'm on the back side of this and coming out of it. And I want to tell you that, I still have all the same stuff, but I've got a good place of physical being for myself. I got a nice long vacation in Hawaii. That was absolutely terrific. And I've been refocusing on my time and schedule, making sure that I get out and walk every single day, my 3 miles. Nothing happens. Well, okay, coffee. Coffee happens. And then nothing else happens before I go and take my walk. So I come to the head of the line. I've been busy for decades, actually, running around the airplane, putting everybody else's oxygen mask out on them, and then forgot to put my own on, and it just collapsed from lack of oxygen. And then that's when I realized, okay, it's me first, right? It's got to be you first too. Promise me you will put yourself first. Find out if you have a physical condition that might be causing you to feel run down, tired. You could have anemia, you could have hypothyroidism, you can have all kinds of things. Take care of your physical health. Look around your house and promise me that you will take care of yourself, because I care about you. I care about me. And that's why I put on my oxygen mask, and I stopped looking at myself like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I cope with this? Well, I couldn't cope because my body was giving out, because it needed more thyroid hormone. And if you do have some advice about thyroid hormone or vitamins or that kind of thing, please just keep it to yourself. I love you, and I appreciate that it's all well-meaning, but I've been handling this thyroid issue for 25 years, and it's something that I know well, and that I've got a grip on, and it's not something that's cured. This is not a curable thing. It's it's like wearing glasses. You're not going to take a vitamin and cure your eyesight. Now, I know some people, there's some things out there that say you can cure your eyesight. Well, I got LASIK. That's fixed that. But I appreciate the well thoughts and the well intentions behind that. But I'm doing so much better, and but it's caused me to take a look at what I can do better in my life and how I can improve things in my life. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about today is if you have low energy. If you have low energy in your life, let's talk about how you might have low energy in your home and ways that you can manage that low energy to help bring up your level of motivation and to get some energy back flowing in your life, so that you feel like you're back in the stream of life, and you're not down in the bottom of a really, really dark, deep hole that you can barely see light out of. I was there 6 weeks ago, and had to go to bed. Just simply could not do anything more than go to bed. And that's what I did. And I honored myself and my time and body, and I want you to do that. But let's talk about some things that you can do in feng shui about low energy, because low home vitality could be the thing that's expressing itself in your own personal energy. And it can create that fatigue and lethargy like I was having. And over time, that can make you vulnerable to other afflictions, health problems, anything that can range from rashes, allergies, and aches and pains. You just never know. And like now, when times are difficult, it's really easy to withdraw and slow down. And over time, this lack of vitality in your personal energy can often be seen in your home. Like maybe the lights are off more often, or the house is more still and quiet. Maybe you don't attend to those little problems and cracks in the wall, or scuffs on the paint, or dirt and grime. And that's a sure way to just get that yin ball rolling. And once that stagnation sets in around your home, you might find that you have this rise in aches and pains. You feel less energetic, and maybe you are even depressed. And it's really important that we build the kind of energy around us that lifts us up, keeps us energized, and keeps us optimistic. Optimism is that healthy outlook that comes from an energized person and home. And if you find that your energy is low and you've got little health complaints that are numerous, this is a great idea to just get some sound therapy going in your home. Now, let's talk about what is sound therapy. Now, a house that is really still and quiet is the type of home that creates yin energy. And over time, that kind of energy can depress a person with even the brightest and happiest outlook. I want to tell you that this is actually what got me into feng shui. I wouldn't call it a yin house, but my foray into feng shui was my husband and I needed to sell our house because I got a job out of state, and the house we had renovated it. It looked beautiful. It was in great, pristine shape. We weren't getting any offers, any looks, nothing. And I finally, that's when I said, maybe I should try this stuff called feng shui. And I looked around the house and I said, what is wrong with this house? And I looked at it and I went, well, it's deathly still. If you have a deathly still home, then that's a yin home. And then once I bought a pendulum clock and I put it in the center of my home, and that swinging pendulum got movement going. Just that movement made all the difference. And that, I kid you not, within hours my phone rang, and we have 4 showings and 2 offers within 4 days. It was crazy. We went from nothing to it was sold. But hey, that's what I love about feng shui, is that when it works really well and very fast for you like that. And the best of all, it lifted that energy. It started moving energy in a new direction. And that's what we're talking about, is how to move energy in a new direction, in the direction of energy, and in an energy that brings opportunities, that gets things moving and flow. I want you to think of the word of energy as flow, because when you feel like your life is stuck, you probably feel like the taps, the faucet of your life is like shut off and permanently welded, and I always look at chi as something we always want to have flowing and moving. We want our lives to be, there's sometimes when we need stillness, like on a vacation, we need that stillness. Like when that woman said she wasn't going to work for me after I'd done all this work. Very disappointing, as you might imagine. I just collapsed. I just couldn't, under the weight of it all. I couldn't manage it. And this is when I needed to take that time. But we can't live like this. This is one of my arguments about, feng shui, that says we're going to make your home into a sanctuary, a temple where you can rest. No. We need a house that's alive. We need to feel alive, right? We need to have energy. We need our homes to have energy. So let's talk about how we do that. To lift the energy of your home, this is one of the simplest things you can do, is get a beautiful brass bell or a singing bowl. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them all online. And using that singing bowl, it will emit a tonal frequency that cuts through yin energy and dispels it from your home. This is a really powerful, easy way to cut through yin energy, stuck or stagnant energy that's just been sitting there. It's like dust. Dust is very yin. So if you've got a bell, start by ringing the bell in the center of a room or your house, which is really terrific this year because we've got this beautiful metal energy that's the heavenly metal energy in the center sector. So I really like using a bell in the center sector, and then move from door to door in a clockwise fashion in your home, ringing the bell, making sure that you go to all those dark corners and of each room, making sure that wherever energy seems to feel stuck, and you know you can feel it, make sure you ring that bell there. And because these areas collect energy that is yin, and then it collects more energy. We've all heard, a thing in motion stays in motion. It's like once things start going yin, they stay yin until you change that. And then what happens is if they stay yin, they become a vacuum, and then it just draws more yin energy to them. And when you use a bell or a singing bowl, that sound penetrates through that yin energy, breaking it up, and creates like a clearing effect. Sort of like if you open the drapes on a bright day, if it's been dark, and you open them up and that sunlight comes pouring in, it just cleanses the room. If you can just do this 3 times in each room to really fully penetrate the area with cleansing sound chi, it's amazing how that can break up that stagnant effect. So important. Now let's talk about singing bowls. The traditional singing bowl originated in Tibet, and it's made of 7 types of metals. That's why it has that beautiful, very clear peel. It represents each metal represents a major planet. So using one of these will not only clear the room, but it also clears your own personal energy. So if you've got stuck energy as well as you're using this going through your home, and that's true for a bell, it will do this. So you'll notice that when the bowl is struck and you run the mallet around the outside of the edge of the bowl, it emits a sound, but it also vibrates in waves. Waves you can feel. Those resonating sound waves can be felt by anybody using a singing bowl, and they will pass through you, cutting through any of that negative, stagnant, or dark energy. Just help to kind of break it up and let in some new energy. Singing bowls really kind of bring the strength and power of those planets from each of the metals to lift your energy and break up old energy. And it's perfect to use when there's been illness, arguments, a spate of bad luck maybe, or low energy in your home or office. And when you use them regularly, you might notice that your own energy will brighten up. Now, let's talk about keeping your home and spirit energized. If you want to permanently lift your energy and the energy around your home, be sure to use sound therapy daily at first, and then maybe once a week. What's important to remember is that chi, or the energy of your home, is like water. It needs to flow. It needs to be moving to be beneficial. Water that's moving is beneficial. Clear running water is always safer to drink and is energized water compared to stagnant, still water that is not safe to drink. Each has their own place. Yin water, that's a toilet. Still water has its own place, but running water is living water, right? We want to drink water that's been aerated. It's just like having a fish tank. We have to aerate the water in order for the fish to breathe the oxygen that's in the water. Now, having that energy lift your home is going to make all the difference in terms of how your home feels, how the room feels, and it's just vital to keep your home and your body energized with that fresh moving energy and sound that's full of life and energies. Now let's talk about ways that you can combat low energy in the long run. You can put in a water fountain, maybe run a fan, play music. You could hang a pendulum clock like I did to sell my house, and that started my whole feng shui career. Or you can hang a wind chime near a window to keep your home filled with that active natural sound. Even a radio or a TV playing will keep a home energized with the sounds of life and activity. And this is key to keeping your home's chi vibrant and the chi energized and refreshed with movement and sound, and to keep energy flowing. Remember, we want to keep that flowing energy. These are all great ways that will help you keep your home stimulated and feeling alive. When a home is too still and quiet, it becomes a tomb. And when that happens, remember, then changes can start, such as energy levels going down, motivation, or your zeal for life becomes dull, and your home may become cluttered and dusty. It's really vital to keep your home energized so that you're energized. I have a neighbor that lives a few streets away, and I've noticed that they had a tree that died, and they cut it down. And then there was another small tree on another side lot, and then they cut that down. Then they sold the house, and there were two large trees in the front. One was cut down, one was remaining. And what was interesting is they moved the house. They sold the house, and then another family moved in, and now they have continued with the cutting, and they cut off all the major branches of this tree. And what's interesting is I started seeing trees being cut down, and now this beautiful tree that was still there, I think as they cut off all the branches so that it wouldn't drop leaves and that kind of thing. Some people are like, how dare those trees dropping those leaves, just making a mess of things. But what I see is a declining situation. I'm just noticing that the house is not as neat as it once was. And once that energy starts going that direction, that cutting off of energy, like cutting off of trees, leaving stumps in the ground, energy continues to go that way. So we've got to change that. This is really important to know that, your home can become too still, especially if your home isn't occupied during the day. If you're back at the office, and your home is really still and quiet. This was what makes pets at home really terrific as energizers. But a home that's lifeless and still can become too quiet and too yin. And once it begins that backward movement, it will continue to go downhill, and your life will go with it. And that's what we don't want. Now, incorporating natural sounds will help lift your home's energy and your personal chi too. So go make a happy noise and see if you don't feel better right away. Get that bell, get that singing bowl, and get it out. Now, I also want to suggest if you're looking for some new opportunities and you really want to get some great stimulation, listen to my tips. All right, tip number 1 is, remember, low vitality is low home energy. Work on your home and work on yourself. We have our outer world mirrors our inner world. Our inner world mirrors our outer world. Look at your home's energy and look at your own personal energy. Tip number 2, energize yourself and your house. Make sure that you get out, get moving, get your body moving. Go see the doctor if you need to see the doctor. Get new meds if you need new meds, or change your prescription like I did. And now I feel like myself again. and work on your house too. You see that little crack by that door, or you have that scuff on the wall, or that ripped place in the carpet, get it fixed. It will energize your home. Make sure that you tip number 3, regularly clear with sound. I really can't tell you how important that is for lifting energy, cutting through still energy, especially like coming back from vacation. My house had been closed and locked up, and typically we have clocks that are chiming, so that we always have actually this beautiful chiming effect. And I love chiming clocks just for that reason. Having them tick, tick, ticking away and chiming with a beautiful bell is a great way to activate your house. So easy to do. Now, the last thing, I'm going to give you a bonus tip, and that is give your door, your front door, this is the mouth of chi, a big boost by ringing a bell in a circle clockwise 3 times around the front door to enhance it for energy, to enhance it for opportunities, to lift your personal energy. All right there. Well, listen, I have had a great time talking with you today about lifting energy and to share with you some of my own personal struggles. I just want you to know that I know we're all going through this together in COVID, but there's a poet, every prisoner in the prison, every prisoner in his cell. And and it talks about how we're all in it together, but yet we're all in our own situation. And I just want you to know you're not alone. And even me, feng shui people have their own challenges too. And but the thing is that we just can't give up. We got to hold on and keep working and look for the answers and turn to others when we need to. So don't be afraid to. We're always here for you here at Red Lotus Letter. Send me a note if you want to, and if you have a moment, go like Red Lotus Letter on Facebook. I'd appreciate that. Facebook.com/Red Lotus Letter. In the meantime, have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week on the next episode of 5 Minute Feng Shui. Bye-bye.